Hey, so we're at Mûr Gallery, Montreal, and wanted to show you what Johann Baron Lanteigne has been working on. So, the whole premise of the show is really the theme of NFTs. And let's dive into it by looking at the front installation. So we've got three TVs, and they're all showing the same video. And there's kind of like this natural selection and shift in color. The video itself is actually an NFT. Specifically, it's Tangible Data 5 from Johann Baron Lanteigne. And you can follow the QR code there, or you can find it on Super Rare. So we see actually here the screen, which is using Raspberry Pi, is connected to the internet. And it also connects to the Super Rare API, which shows here Johann accepting a bid from Dij for 7 Ethereum at the time. And so this device here was custom made for the show. It not only feeds all three TVs the same looping video, but it also connects to the pricing and the history of the minting of this particular piece, the NFT that's being presented as a looping video in here. Okay, now the other thing that is pretty funny about this show is all these giant QR codes. Basically, what the effect of that is, well, obviously it's not art. It leads to a super rare link. It leads to an NFT. And so if you scan this, it'll bring you to an NFT. And the ironic part of it is that, basically people come to the gallery and then they end up being on their phone looking at NFTs and non-physical art, which is kind of the opposite purpose of going to a gallery in the first place. The other thing that's interesting about it, this television that's put in the vertical format is obviously kind of reminds us of a cell phone in this format. Here we see the Instagram kind of, social media. One of the things that Baron Lanteigne does a lot is that he'll basically kind of put all of his art on social media and as NFTs, and then he'll pick up the traces of that process and reuse that as what he calls metaworks. So it's kind of like, putting it in the laundry of the internet and picking up whatever it grabbed onto it while it was in there, or in the backyard, you could say. Another aspect that I really like about this, and I'm not sure if it's going to show it in the loop, is basically the comments on Twitter. A lot of people don't understand, what the heck are NFTs, or you hear pretty naive comments or like, oh, it's a bunch of Russian oligarchs laundering money. And whereas really NFTs are generally radically transparent. So for example, if I look at Johann Baron Lanteigne or Lucas Agures, I can find all of their collectors on Twitter within 15 minutes, except for maybe a few that would be anonymous. And so when we look at these comments, it just kind of shows how radically transparent the whole scene is. And when you look at Twitter, it's pretty easy to identify who's a collector and what they're thinking about, what they're collecting at the moment, etc. Because they'll just openly engage in conversations and dialogue and start asking these types of questions. So here we see, Coldy, and what's interesting is that there's both positive and negative comments on Twitter. It's not like Baron Lanteigne actually, censored any of the bad and the ugly. So it's just kind of showing for people to people don't have an idea what the heck NFTs are. So when they see these conversations, this is basically what my feed looks like on Twitter. This is what Johann's feed looks like on Twitter. So it really kind of helps drive the idea of like, oh, this is what's happening on Twitter and how people are talking about it. So let's go look at the augmented reality protection pouch, the augmented protection pouch. So here we have this other concept that's pretty also ironic and hilarious, which is the idea of building a protective pouch for an NFT. Now, an NFT obviously is a digital asset, it's not physical. So what's in the video is the actual NFT in this case, it's the looping video. And Baron Lanteigne built a protective pouch for it as if it was like a luxury item that needed to be protected. The thing here, we've got a similar device that basically indicates the price and the history of bidding. So in this case, the owner is Kaiser. And so if anybody wanted to buy this piece from Kaiser, any bid will be shown on here, as well as the new owner would be shown on here. Almost finally, we've got this protective pouch, which doesn't have a TV, and it's linked to an NFT that's not yet sold. And ironically, the NFT that it links to is basically a 3D model of this pouch. And now the final aspect of the show I want to talk about is the virtual reality experience. Basically, I can't really show you. I'm going to show you in a separate video, but I guess I'll just explain in that video what's happening in here.